Okay, so where do these things collide? Well, collection fights with containment and eradication. And that's the hinge that we have to work off of, and we have to say, okay, let's do things in a proper order here. Let's educate one team for the other team so that they don't fight with each other. What can we do? Well, Don says, adjust your incident response to protect the forensics data. Simple as that. Okay, how do we do that? Well, in our preparation step, we sharpen the skills, we practice, we do peer notification, we do education, we teach people in management to allow the people that are actually doing the activity of incident response to go a little bit slower so that they can capture information. Now, a big problem that we have before we get to the scene when we're talking about an enterprise or an organization is that all the times need to be synchronized on all the machines so that we can better list the evidence in the correct order. That preparation is before any incident ever happens, so we make sure that we have NTP services on all of our machines, and they are all synced down to about that second. Know the big issues that get in the way here, the legal action, the policy violations, all that authorized and unauthorized data and that system access. Be prepared by knowing what the policy is. Your incident response team doesn't normally look at your forensics policy. You've got to teach them that stuff. You need to have a functioning security awareness program for the individuals because the end user is the first person in your incident response chain, and usually they will muck things up. When we talk about preparation for forensics, remember the incident response team needs things like the phone list, the pens, the papers, the CDs, the response software, the flashlights, the handheld. They need everything. If you've ever looked on, Mythbusters, you'll notice the safety precautions that the Mythbusters take. Have those safety precautions there with these particular pieces of equipment. Remember, static straps are a great thing. Understand what should be on the systems and understand what shouldn't be. A forensics person doesn't know, oh, we need this new application to do this new thing. But an incident response person or a help desk person knows that software should be there, this software should not be there. Why are we running WordPerfect on these machines? We should be running OpenOffice on all our machines. Why is that there? And that should give a clue, and when we collect that data for the next step, we know that that shouldn't be there. So in the identification step, we have to inform early. It's best to have false positives at first and to deal with those false positives rather than having people saying, oh, I'll get to that later. In identification, we need to work in pairs, one documenter, one executor. Searching for and verifying this as a particular incident reduces those false positives so that we can hand it off to somebody else so we don't waste their time and say, oh, no, this just really needs a reboot because this is a problem because we deployed a patch. One of the great things in searching for and verifying that this is an incident is collecting the change control information about a particular environment. Forensics people don't know that, oh, last night we updated all the machines to the next version of Office, or we rolled out this service pack and it broke machines. If it breaks machines and you look in the change control and say, oh, well, we've got 6 machines that are broken, that's because we had a bad change, not because we've been attacked or because somebody's been evil. If there's any kind of suspicious logons or log-on attempts, we need to record that information. That's usually on the Windows machines done in event logs. On the Mac machines or the Linux machines, we're looking at some sort of syslogging that we would collect the information from. Know all your system accounting information and your auditing information and make sure all of that stuff is turned on and that you can say these events should be happening or should not be happening. If there's any attempts for system access for restricted services, we need to record that information. Again, that's usually in your log files. Okay, now we're moving over to containment. What happens is containment begins when we start to modify the system in network response. Start to modify. This is modifying the data that we need. That data then becomes evidence in a court of law. This is that modification step. This is where we have those problems. We're going to preserve the functioning data and backups so that we can get that particular individual back up and running, or if it's a server, all the people that need that server to get them back up and running. Looking at the business risk is really the question that we ask on the containment side of things, incident response. We don't make that judgment so much on the forensic side. And so now here it is. At the containment level, pull a forensic copy before eradication. We'd like to do it before the containment, but at least we can do it at the end of the containment step. Next step, eradication. Now that we've got our evidence somewhere else, let's clean this machine off and let's get it back up and running again. In the eradication, we figure out what the root cause is. This machine is corrupted with a virus. Figure out what the restore process is, remove the malware, rebuild the machine. Usually today, by the way, the answer in eradication is to re-image the machine. That's as simple as it gets, or to give somebody a new image through VMware. Then we're going to collect up all that data from the eradication. If we have to keep on re-imaging machines over and over and over again, it's like, well, wait a minute, we need to really figure out what the root cause here so that we can stop this instead of having to keep on re-imaging. How will we do that? Oh, well, if we just update our antivirus more frequently than once a month. If we block at the firewall this particular port because this is inappropriate. If we do better patch management, we can make ourselves work better. And that's where we get into the recovery step. So in the imaging, we eradicate and recover at the same time. If we separate these out as two separate things in the recovery, we need to realize that we're bringing a service back up and running. First responders may also be asked to monitor the system over time to do daily checks to make sure that, in fact, that machine is okay. Now, a good thing in the eradication and recovery is to start listening. And start listening at the packet level and keep on capturing for that particular workstation. If you re-image that machine and it's got the same IP address again, maybe you put a span port on your switch to actually capture all that information, because the adversary may come back to try and attack that machine again. They'll be unsuccessful because you've patched the machine correctly and everything's up and running, but at least you can capture that information and figure out where the source of this is. Again, another root cause thing that we're looking at. Take the lessons learned from this to follow up, collect that information from the forensics team to go ahead and know how we can make ourselves better, how we can better do change control for our organization, and communicate to the others on the team. You want to do a centralized mailing list of all the people that are involved on the incident response and forensic side of things so that they can know what's happening and what's changing and what's better and what we won't do again, and also how to shortcut the process so that we can effectively get the machines up and running operationally and effectively capture the information that can be used by forensics. Now, I wanted to leave you with one last thing here. If you're looking at incident response and you're looking at forensics and you want these two things to intersect, there are two excellent open source documents. They're both NIST special publications. You can get them free by typing in NIST and then 800-86 and 800-61. These are excellent deep dives. They are well worth the read if you are dealing with forensics for the first time on your incident response team.